What's going on, everybody? My name is Logan. I'm here at the longest standing vape shop in Colorado, Vaporleaf. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SMOK PROCOLOR 225. We're going to find out if this guy is going to be the new alien. First up, I'm just going to show you how to get it out of the box and get it vaping. Then we can take a look at the performance of the device, and then I'll give you a quick review on it, give you a few of my own thoughts. Toward the end of the video, then, I'm going to show you how to get through all the menu settings and show you what this device can really do. Let's get started! The first thing I like to do straight out of the box is get the device set up. So first we're going to take a look at the bottom here. We got a little bit of a battery hatch. I'm just going to slide that out and it'll pop open like that. You'll see positive and negative marked down inside of the device as well as on the inside of the battery door here. Not only are they marked plus and minus, but they're also marked A and B, but we will get to that later. First we're going to pop some batteries in here. Positive down on this side, negative down on this side, and then to close the battery door, it's the opposite of what we did before. We're just going to push it closed like that and then slide it back. When you install the batteries and close the battery door, you'll get a little bit of a smoke flourish there, but then to actually turn the device on, it's going to be 5 quick clicks on the fire button, much like anything else, and that's going to give you the SMOK logo and then the PROCOLOR logo along with the version, and then pop into this main screen here. You can see at this point the RGB LEDs around the side are already going, but we will get to that in a minute. First off on the screen here, let me go ahead and take off this screen protector. You can see it looks all torn up and whatever. So we'll just pop that guy off. Much better. So we've got SMOK on the top left there, just their logo. On the top right we've got both of our batteries, and again those are marked A and B, so it actually tells you which battery is at what power level. On the left here, you can see this little green 0.1S. That's the time of our last puff taken. Of course, we've just got our wattage right there. Then we've got our resistance, currently reading 0.000, and our voltage, same story, 0.000. Then we've got the mode that we're in wattage with a normal preheat, and that's how many puffs I've taken on this device so far. Now the PROCOLOR is usually going to come out of the box around 6 watts, that's something that we're seeing more often with SMOK devices these days, and you can take a look on the coil inside of the tank to see what your power level should be. It might be a little hard to see on camera here, but we've got our full wattage rating, which is 40 to 80 watts, and then down inside of there you might be able to see 55 to 65 watts. You can see I've set this guy right in the middle of the best range at 60 watts. So once the device is set up, we can go ahead and pop the tank open. All that we're going to do for that is undo the bottom here. If you saw my last video, you already know how to do all of this. So we're just going to unscrew the bottom so we can get to the coil here. Now again, these guys can be really difficult to take apart fresh out of the box. It seems like they might be getting a little bit better about it, so that might not be an issue in the near future. Now we've already got this single core coil installed. That's usually the one that comes inside of the tank. In the box you do get the quad coil as well, which I actually vastly prefer, but I decided I'd give the single core a shot. Then of course you want to prime your coil up. Just take some juice, whatever juice you're using, and go ahead and soak up all the cotton inside of that coil. It doesn't really matter how you do it as long as you actually fully saturate all of the cotton inside of there. We can go ahead and screw the tank back together here. Usually when you do that, the airflow is going to get closed off as well, so remember to open that back up. Then at that point you can go ahead and fill the tank up. Same thing with any other TF tank at this point. You can see it says open there and has an arrow pointing in this direction. So we'll go ahead and push on this side. You'll see that little split right there as well as a hinge on this side. So you're just going to push on that and it'll just swivel right open. We've got a nice big hole for filling right here. That center hole is just for airflow, so make sure you don't fill down there. And then to close the tank back up, you're going to see those two pins are kind of going to run into each other, so you kind of have to push down in turn to actually fully close it. Now at this point the tank is totally ready to go, so we're going to put the tank on the device that is also ready to go, and we're going to do so kind of gently. You put the tank on to the point where I usually go to where it stops turning. You'll kind of feel it catch, but my general rule of thumb is if you have the tank tightened down and you can't undo it from the top with 2 fingers, then it's way too tight. With that in mind, we can go ahead and take a look at the screen now. So we've still got our 60 watts, our batteries are at the same level, but now we're reading 0.413 ohms. And when we hold the fire button down, you'll see about 5 volts at 60 watts with that 0.4 ohm coil. And again, since that coil is a 0.4 ohm, 0.413 is absolutely perfect. If it were reading further off, maybe 0.56 or something like that, then we'd probably have a connection issue somewhere. But I'm not going to ramble too much, so let's just go ahead and bring it up top and see how it vapes. Now, one quick thing to note before we start puffing on this guy is it's probably going to be pretty wet. We just primed up that coil and it might spit a lot. So instead of getting a mouthful of juice, what I like to do is just hold the fire button down briefly for about a second maybe and blow through the airflow holes on the tank, just like this. Now, you'll hear it either gurgling a lot, spitting, something like that, but then you're going to hear it clear up a little bit. At that point, you can go ahead and vape on it, and it shouldn't be spitty at all. So let's go ahead and see how it does. Definitely very good performance off of it. Again, if you saw my last video, I'm not surprised at all because I already know the Baby Beast is one of the best tanks on the market. Really good vapor production, extremely good flavor, great airflow. Now, you might notice that I have the airflow open all the way. Personally, I do actually like it cut off about halfway. Now again, this is the big Baby Beast, so there's a lot of airflow available with this guy. I find when you cut the airflow down, it increases the flavor quite a lot. What I've found with the wattage range on here, I always like to stay within the best wattage range, but 55 or 60 is a little bit better in my opinion. 65 gets a little bit too hot for me, and the flavor starts to get just a little bit muggy. 60 watts has a nice warmth to it, while 55 is going to be a little bit cooler, but still produce a really good amount of vapor. You can see very dense vapor off of this tank. It's a really good performer. And again, a dual 18650 box mod is a really good match with this tank because you can run some of those higher power levels and still get really good battery life. And with some of these devices that we're seeing, again, this is a lot like the Alien, very similarly shaped, so it's really small. I remember when single battery devices were bigger and way uglier than this thing. Now that we've gone through the basics, let's go ahead and do a little bit more of an in-depth review. Now, the first thing that I thought when I saw the ProColor is finally, they're using real paint. It's actually got a gloss finish, it's got some depth to it, it's almost a little bit metallic. It just looks so much better than the Alien. Now, they did more recently start using real paint on the Alien instead of that weird flat coating that isn't very durable, but I'm happy to see that they've implemented it so well on this device. You can see the whole side fire button here is also painted, the little adjustment buttons inside of there are painted, we've got this really beautiful LED ring around the screen. I do like the shape of the screen as well, it's really unusual, and you got the full black face there even though the screen only takes up a bit of the center there. Overall, I absolutely love this as an Alien replacement. In my heart, it is the new Alien. The LEDs aren't quite as nice as they are in the T-Priv, but the finish is fantastic. The feel, in my opinion, is much better than the T-Priv just because it's rounded off around the sides. It makes it a lot more comfortable. Everything is very sleek and well put together. You got a little bit of carbon fiber with some branding on the back. It's altogether just a fantastically well thought out and well built box. Now, you probably don't want to hear me ramble on about the tank too much. Again, if you already saw my T-Priv video, I already just went crazy for it. I love this tank. I think it's one of the best on the market, depending on what power level you're looking for. If you're looking for lower and higher, sure, there are going to be other tanks out there, but in this range, in this, say, like 40 to 90 watt range, I think this is the best tank on the market. It's easy to fill, it's easy to use, there are a bunch of different coils available, the flavor and vapor production are fantastic. I mean, the list goes on. It's just a fantastic tank. While I do absolutely love the like high-def color screen that they put on this guy, at first I thought the menu was a little bit convoluted, and the reason for that is they changed the menu a little bit. The overall controls are still very similar, so it took a little bit of getting used to, but once I figured it out, I realized it's pretty straightforward and actually a little bit refined from the normal SMOK menu. So yes, I absolutely think that this is going to be the Alien replacement. There's no question in my mind about it. It's better in every conceivable way. I don't see any reason that someone would want an Alien over the new ProColor. Love this box. On that note, let me show you through a little bit more of the menu and show you what the ProColor can really do. So as I already mentioned, you've got your fire button on the side here, and then you've got your down button and your up button. Very simple there. Just just 3 buttons, pretty standard, par for the course stuff. Now, why I said I thought the menu was a little bit convoluted at first is you get into it the same way, it's those 3 clicks on the fire button, but then after that, you don't use the adjustment buttons to scroll through the different options. In fact, you use the adjustment buttons to scroll through the different options in each of the different options. Now, that might be a little confusing, but what I mean by that is you actually tap the fire button to scroll through different menus. So you do have to remember 3 clicks on the fire button, 1 quick click to get through each different option here, and that'll scroll through all the way back to the main screen. And hold the fire button to lock in whatever you chose. So first off, I'll show you the mode setting menu here. You can see it says mode setting on the top left there. We're just in wattage mode. There's W, TI, NI, SS, and M. So you've got wattage, temperature titanium, temperature nickel, temperature stainless steel, and memory mode. Memory mode, if you ever watched my alien video, is basically just preset options for different wattage levels. Believe this guy is the same sort of deal where you get 22 of them. Yeah, so you can see it'll say MEM22 on the bottom left there, back to MEM1. So that'll go all the way from 1 to 22, and you can set your different power options for each of those. To set that option, again, you're going to do a long press on the fire button to lock in memory mode, a long press on memory to select which mode you want to change the wattage on, and then you can use the adjustment buttons to change the wattage in that memory setting. Again, holding the fire button down, you'll get back to your memory mode with whatever wattage you set. To change through the memory modes, of course, it's just up and down. Now, in any of the temperature control modes, they're all going to be about the same story. Again, hold the fire button down to select which mode you want, which material you're using. Then you can change your wattage here with the adjustment buttons. Hold the fire button again to change your TCR. I wouldn't recommend changing the TCR because that's going to come with a preset value. So I just leave it where it's at, and then when you get back to the main screen here, you can set whatever temperature you want. Now, if you're just in wattage mode, again, we can hold the fire button down. We can change our wattage here, but we can also change the preheat. Of course, if you come back out here, you can still change the wattage however you like normally. And then if you want to change the preheat without going back into the menu to change it, you could just tap the fire button into the right and choose soft, normal, or hard. Now again, soft is going to relax your wattage at first, normal is just going to put out whatever wattage you choose, and hard is going to boost your wattage a little bit, and then go back down to whatever you set your wattage to. Now we can take a look at the next item on the menu, again just by tapping that fire button to get over to puff settings. You guys know I hate puff settings and I think they're dumb. You can mess around with them, same thing as all the other menu settings, whatever. Anyway, the next item on the list is going to be the screen settings. So this is one, if you look at screen setting there, that's going to change color. So you've got light blue, purple, orange, red, white, and green. Personally, I like the green setting on the purple device. I think it's kind of a nice color match there. If you hold the fire button, you can choose your screen time. I have it set to 2 minutes. And keep in mind that your screen time is also going to change how long the lights are on if you have those set to be on whenever the screen is on. Then if you hold the fire button again, we've got a pretty nifty feature actually. There's auto lock. So whenever the screen times out, the device automatically locks. And then you can do those 5 clicks on the fire button or just tap the adjustment buttons there to unlock the device. That's actually a pretty cool feature. I like that. Next up is the all-important LED settings. Obviously I have it to set to the rainbow setting here, but you've got pretty much every color in the spectrum here. There's a lot of good options and they're all pretty true to color too. There's a pretty good selection. Then you've got RGB. Again, I think RGB is a little bit silly when it really should be rainbow. It's all the colors in the spectrum. It just looks great. If we hold the fire button, then we can choose fade or flash. Now, they did change it up a little bit between this and the T-Priv. On the T-Priv, it actually cycles from color to color, but on this one, you see it actually fades to just darkness until it goes to the next color. So on flash, it's very obvious. It's just on, off, on, off, on, off. On fade, it'll fade into a color, and then fade to off, and then fade into a color, and then fade to off. So it's actually a pretty smooth transition. Personally, I wish that they gave you the option to just exclude the off segment and go from color to color, but maybe that helps save batteries or something. Now, as I already mentioned, you can just have the light off, You can have them come on just when the screen turns on, you can have them come on just when you're vaping on it, when you're holding down the fire button, or you can have them always on. Now right now I have them set to always on, which personally I wouldn't really recommend. I did do a little bit of a test on battery life with this one, and while it's better than the T-Priv because there just aren't as many LEDs, it will kill the batteries. I was at about half battery at the end of the day at work here, set the lights to be always on, and the next morning the device was dead. So those LEDs do definitely eat up battery over time, but really if you just have them coming on whenever the screen is on and you have the screen set to be on for a minute after taking your last puff, if you have them just on vaping on, they really don't take very much power, and as I said, even less than the T-Priv from what I found. The last thing in the list here, again, it's a really simple menu system once you get the hang of it, is power on or off. Now, X is going to be power on, checkmark is going to be power off, so that's saying yes, please power off. It's actually a pretty smooth transition there on the screen, and then now the device is completely off. Most of the time you're not actually going to be turning the device off, you're just going to be locking it, which again, if we boot it back up, it's just going to be those 5 quick clicks on the fire button to lock the device, or just tapping the front buttons. And again, that locks the fire button and the adjustment buttons, so it really is a shortcut instead of doing the 5 quick clicks. Now this is actually the same thing as with the Alien. You do have those shortcut settings along with the lock. Thank you, SMOK. You can lock it. Anyway, fire button into the left, you can change which mode you're in, bring it over to wattage. In wattage mode, fire button into the right, you can change your preheat. And then in temperature control modes, fire button into the right is going to change your wattage. So again, very similar menu system to the Alien, very straightforward, easy to figure out. I thought it was a little convoluted at first, but it turns out it's pretty straightforward. Again, does take some getting used to. I still fiddle with it a little bit and have some trouble, but it's pretty easy to figure out, and it makes a lot of sense. For a few final thoughts on the device here, I really like this little micro USB port. It looks super slick. I like how they did that, and it's right off of the front, so you can have the device standing up while it's charging. The only thing I'm not super crazy about, you can see it actually looks a little bit crooked inside of there, and it's not quite touching the body. If it protruded just a little bit more, it would be a lot more durable, but it is still down inside of the device a little bit, so you do need to be careful about wiggling or breaking or anything like that. I think this fire button looks really cool. It would definitely be a little bit more comfortable if it didn't have those little cutouts there, but really that's a really minor thing. I hardly even notice them most of the time. I like the shape of the fire button. It's the same thing as usual where you can't push on the bottom unless you're really strong, because the fire button is actually at the top. It's got a nice clickiness to it. And the adjustment buttons are quite clicky as well. They're all very tactile. They have a very nice feel to them. The carbon fiber on the back is of course fake, but I mean, it looks pretty good. They still do a really good job with it. The seams all line up pretty nicely. Same thing with the rest of the device, really. Again, it's very well designed, very well put together. And I don't think anybody is going to be surprised by this, but the 510 is awesome, no problems, and it looks really good. And it's worth noting as well, we've got 4 screws up here to hold the top on, which is a really nice thing, instead of 2 where it's going to bend up on the sides and wiggle around or whatever. I gotta admit, there's not a single thing that I don't like about this device. I mean, there might be a couple things that I think they could have done a little bit better, like the LEDs are like a little bit blotchy. They're not quite as even as on the T-Priv. And again, if they got rid of those cutouts there, it would be a little bit more comfortable. But again, I can't actually complain about anything. Everything is actually really well done. They clearly thought about this. This is definitely one of my new favorite devices on the market. It's up there for me alongside some really high-end stuff. I think this is going to be a great addition and a great choice for anybody looking for a dual battery device, or maybe just somebody looking for something small, comfortable, light. It's just really fantastic. Highly recommend it. So obviously, I love the ProColor. I think it's an absolutely fantastic device. But let me know what you think as well. Go ahead and leave a comment. If you had any questions about the device or any other questions for me, go ahead and leave a comment, and I'll be sure to answer any questions you have as soon as I can. And if you love the ProColor and you liked my video, go ahead and throw me a like, and be sure to subscribe for all the latest and greatest videos from Vaporleaf. We'll see you next time. Bye.